Hey, help support the show by becoming a member on Patreon or YouTube. You'll get 4 bonus videos a month, plus ad-free versions of every Junkyard pod, and a special shout out at the beginning of each video. This is the best way to help me as a creator, and so thank you, and go Cavs.
This is the moment we've all been waiting for the thousands in attendance and the millions watching around the world. Let's get ready to
Welcome to the Junkyard Pod. I'm Tony Pesta, joined by Jackson Flickinger. If you're watching this, you already know the results. The Cleveland Cavaliers in Game 1 against the Indiana Pacers. They dropped the ball 121 to 112. They lose Game 1. I got lots of thoughts. I'm sure Jackson has lots of thoughts. I want to start right here, though. This is the first thing that I think I need to say. Everyone who
An apology?
No, I'm not apologizing for anything.
Okay. All right.
In fact,
That's
I'm
fine.
demanding an apology from all of the people who said the Cavs were better without Darius Garland. If you watch this game and you're going to tell me that Darius Garland wouldn't have helped, you're out your damn mind. I had to start there because, listen, they looked great in Miami without Darius. Sure, they did. You needed Darius Garland in this game. I don't want to focus too much on that because I want to talk about what actually happened in the game. But, oh, my God, could they have used Darius Garland tonight?
Tyler Johnson, you are a fraud. I hope you know that. I hope nobody respects your basketball opinions again. Is that what you wanted to say? Yeah, there we go. Yeah. Okay, so let's start there. The Cavs needed Darius Garland. Why did the Cavs need Darius Garland? I think why the Cavs needed Darius Garland is because what we saw, the Pacers go under on screens, so that kind of forces them, like. The Pacers kind of try to funnel people inside and try to make them finish over their bigs. What that allows you to do is take pull-up threes. It allows you to take those drag screen threes with like Sam Merrill, Max Strus. They give up those shots. And that's what the Cavs didn't hit. Donovan Mitchell went 1 for 11 from 3. A lot of those were open looks that were created from off the dribble screens. On the dribble screen, sorry. Sam Merrill, Max Strus went 2 for 8. A lot of those were off the dribble / on the dribble screens. They missed those shots. You know who's really good at hitting pull-up threes as well? Darius Garland.
Darius Kennard Garland. I've heard he's pretty good. I've heard, in fact, he's one of the best in the NBA at that.
Yeah. So that really hurt them. And then, like, Ty Jerome went 1 for 4. So when you look at the shots that the Pacers gave up, the Cavs were able to actually generate the shots that they wanted. Kenny Atkinson said afterwards that he didn't love the shot quality. Then Donovan Mitchell came in and said, we missed so many open looks, it was ridiculous. And I kind of...
Honestly, both. I actually agree with both, and we'll get to that, but I kind of agree with both statements.
Yeah, so I think the Cavs sort of were looking for that shot maybe a little too much, where they got outside their flow of their offense, where I think when they're at their best, they are taking those shots, but they're also like not just saying like either I take the shot because I'm open or I'm throwing it to Max Strus or Sam Merrill, we're going to take the shot because they're open. They're kind of like they're doing those things within the course of the offense. Then the ball's pinging around. I don't think the ball was pinging around a lot today. Like Kenny mentioned, the extra passes not being there. I thought that was an apt thing to say because the extra passes weren't there. It was either like I take this 3 off the screen, you take this 3 off the screen, or we just kind of dribble it inside and just see what happens.
Yeah. I think you mentioned it right there. It didn't feel like the ball was pinging around. Something that I just tweeted. It felt like nobody on the Cavs tonight was approaching this game from a playmaker's perspective. From like and I know you're never gonna have someone be Darius Garland, but nobody. It didn't feel like at any point that anyone was trying to set the table for everyone else. And this is something that, listen, you could point at Donovan Mitchell and say, "Hey, I know that you're capable of being that guy. I've seen you be an elite playmaker at times." At the same time, you kind of need him to score. So I understand why Donovan Mitchell took 30 shots tonight. I get it. The Cavs offense, it felt like it was in the mud. He was honestly getting to the, like you said, they funnel guys into the paint. But like I thought, one thing that I saw tweeted, I don't think Donovan Mitchell was that bothered by Indiana's point of attack defense. I thought he looked pretty comfortable.
What was it? So he was. I don't want to cut you off too much, but I think it's important to bring up 12 of 19 from inside the arc.
There you go.
He was on fire inside the arc. I thought that's the area that I thought he would struggle in most, and he really came to play. They had no response for him when he came in with like with like a full head of steam. That third quarter, 12 points, really turned the momentum of the game. So he did everything inside the arc.
Yeah, he looked great inside the paint. That third quarter, like, listen, I'll say right now, I think I gave him a C+ overall for the game. The thing is, that third quarter was an A++. He was incredible in the third quarter. It's just some of the decision making, and I'll get to specific stuff in a second. But one more thing that I'll say to give him a little bit of credit: he did shoot 1 of 11 from 3, but we were counting this on the playback stream. He did heave the ball a couple times at the end of quarters. So there was twice at the end of the first and second quarter. And then in the fourth quarter, when the game was over, he took like a really contested step back 3 in like desperation mode. So I'm willing to give him 1 of 8 from 3. I'm willing to take 3 of those away. But with that said, end of, I think, the first quarter before that heave, he took back-to-back pull-up threes with like 20 seconds on the shot clock. That just felt completely rushed, completely unnecessary. Those are shots that if he hits them, oh my God, we just 6-point swing at the end of the quarter. So I understand why he takes them. I've said this since we got Donovan Mitchell. I understand why he takes those shots. When he makes them, they're amazing. When he misses them, it hurts. And there was a couple times, really more so Ty Jerome, which I want to get to soon. But Donovan Mitchell, I understand why you're trying to be that guy and carry the team. 13 of 30 from the floor, took a lot of shots tonight. I think at some point he could have tried to get other players more involved, and like he was getting to the rim at will. So there was clearly an opportunity to get the defense into rotation and kick it out. All in all, I'm more willing to forgive Donovan Mitchell for games like that. And I think that's why Darius Garland is such a beautiful counterpart to Donovan Mitchell, because yeah, when Mitchell's in that mode, Darius Garland's setting the table for other guys. That's like the harmony that you get. And so again, we missed Darius Garland in this game. One of the biggest areas where we missed Darius Garland in this game was, I have to say it, I don't know what your thought is on this. It's been a little controversial on Twitter. I thought Ty Jerome was awful today. And I love Ty Jerome.
Really?
And he scored the ball. He put up 21 points, but the decision-making, he got blocked on 4 separate floaters. He was blocked 4 times in the paint. And the one that stands out to me the most is, I think it was third quarter, Cavs, all the momentum, they're on this big run. And he takes a pull-up three-pointer on like a 1-on-4 fast break. And he pulls up for 3 and it hits the front of the rim. I know this is what he does, but it's like, it was not the time replaced, Ty. It was not the time replaced.
That's why Ty Jerome's so cool, because he doesn't care about the time for the plays.
It's the same thing that I said with Mitchell in terms of like when those shots go in, it's amazing, but like he just didn't have it. And I think if Darius Garland had been available, Kenny probably goes away from Ty Jerome and he doesn't get to 8 for 20 shooting tonight, because 8 for 20, 21 points and 20 shots is bad. I honestly felt like it felt worse watching it because some of the shots were so like he got blocked on 4 floaters. 4 shots didn't even get off the ground.
So
that was pissing me off watching. It was like, dude, pass the ball.
All right, I'm going to defend our guys here. I think that you're being a little too harsh, which is, everyone knows I'm the rational one. Yeah. What I will say is Donovan is he's not somebody who's making sure everybody gets touches. He's not a natural point guard. What you want Donovan to do is you want Donovan to take good shots. You want him to create good shots and take those good shots. You want him to make the easy passes. I think that he was taking good shots for the most part. You mentioned the shots that weren't good, and he's been taking those stupid, like, 30 seconds left in the quarter shots. He's been taking those all year. I hate those.
It was like 75% good shot selection for Mitchell. 25%
right. And
pressing the issue.
And that's okay on a night when nobody else, when you don't have another ball handler. So I think that's okay. I think that he was doing what you want him to do. It's just if he goes 4 for 11 from 3, which is not a good game. If he goes 4 for 11 from 3, I think the Cavs win. So, it changes everything. With Ty Jerome, I think that when you have less ball handlers, you put more stress on them. And I think that Ty Jerome, you're putting a lot more stress on him, especially in lineups when he's not out there with Mitchell, because you don't have another point guard. That was the whole thing when you got rid of Caris LeVert. This was the concern, is that you don't have somebody else who can dribble off the bench. And, I thought Ty was fine. He's not somebody he's somebody who likes to make the simple passes, but he's not somebody who's making sure everybody gets involved. He's not doing Nash dribbles. He's no Darius Garland. He's not even like a table-setting backup point guard. He's in to get his shots. And I thought that Thought that Indiana did a good job of anticipating the floaters, but I'm fine with him taking no shots, and he was fine. It wasn't like a great game, but I have a hard time putting a lot of fault on him with how Indiana was playing him and how they were kind of at points daring him to take certain shots, and he made a lot of shots. So it's not like he didn't make shots. It's just again, when you look at the 3-point, like when you look at the whole team and their 3-point shooting, if guys make two or three more threes, if his teammates make 2 or 3 more threes, it looks a whole lot different. And we're talking about it differently. We're saying, hey, so and so made a couple of big threes. And Ty Jerome kept the offense on schedule by getting some tough playoff buckets when they needed it most. He went in the paint. It wasn't pretty, but he put up points. Like that's the conversation we're having instead. So I think I do understand completely where you're coming from, and I don't even completely disagree with it. I'm just saying I think it's okay to have this more nuanced view of this is what he was supposed to do. He went out and did what he was supposed to do at probably a B level as opposed to an A+ level. And tonight, when no one hit shots, you needed an A+ level.
Yeah. Well, when you see the grades, you might be shocked. I did give him an F grade because he also got an 8-second violation bringing the ball up the floor.
That was bad.
I'm okay just agreeing to disagree and moving on because I don't think it's like I'm not like that tied to my take. I just wanted to go on my little rant here. We're
very half-baked.
After the game. No, I stand by it, but like I just don't want to focus too much on Ty Jerome because there's so much to talk about. And you mentioned it. This is something that we should have said at the top. I believe this was the first game all season that the Cavs made single-digit 3-pointers. They finished with 9 3-point makes. They were 9 of 38, 23%. I don't know if that's the worst percentage they shot. It's close if it's not.
I think that last Ty Jerome 3 threw him over, so I think it's like the second worst.
Okay,
that's if unnamed media member is to be trusted.
Either way, it's the first time that they only hit 9, and like you said, there was a Ty Jerome kind of garbage time 3 that put it to 9. It was their worst 3-point shooting game of the year, and so
this was an ode to the Orlando Magic because this is how every game they play.
Yeah, this was Ty Jerome's Orlando Magic tryout tape. Just this is what I could do for your team right here. But okay, so I want to start off right here because I want to talk about the 3-point variance, right? Like everyone is going to look at this game and say, well, Pacers shot 53% from 3. They hit 19 threes. They literally outscored
30 points.
30 points. Yeah, it's like 30 points off of 3-pointers in a game that we lost by 9. And in all honesty, it was closer than that. The final couple minutes there, like final minute.
They said 6-point game.
Yeah. So I want to say a couple things on that. I do want to start here because there's 2 points that I need to make. One, it's absolutely true. If the Pacers do this 3 more times and the Cavs do this 3 more times, yeah, it's over. We don't beat them. We don't win games where the other team shoots above 50% and we shoot below 25%, right? Like but I don't expect that to happen. If that happened, I would be surprised and I would say, well, damn, the 3-point variance really bit us that time. I don't expect that to happen. The other point that I want to make, and I'll make it quick so you can chime in. I do want to give credit to Indiana because every single time down the floor, they made the right read and the right decision. And they hit a lot of tough shots that even like just because you make the right decision and you have the right process doesn't mean you're going to shoot 50%, right? Like obviously there's multiple things contributed to that, but man, it's like the Cavs, there's flaws in the defense that we'll talk about, but just to give Indiana their credit, the Cavs started off, we're not switching anything. We're not switching. We're hedging and then recovering. And they said, all right, Pascal Siakam, set the screen and just pop. Just keep popping every time. And he kept getting open looks for 3. And it wasn't just him. It was just nonstop pick and pop. So then they said, all right, we're going to switch. And they said, okay, well, either Halliburton's going one-on-one with Allen towards the end of the game or during the second and third quarters. If we switched, they just said, Miles Turner, Pascal Siakam, roll to the hoop. We're going to swing the ball. Now you're posting up a smaller player. And it was just every single time down the floor, Indiana made the right decision and got a quality look. And then even when we played good defense and contested, they hit the most ridiculous 3-pointers. So it was like, it was a perfect storm for Indiana. I think Demo in the playback chat, shout out to Demo, said this was like a 99th percentile game from Indiana. This was damn near as good as they could play. And I think the Cavs could play a lot better. And I'm scared saying that because this is kind of what I said in the Knicks series in 2023, but I think things are very different now. I said, not to this degree, but I said the Knicks are playing really good. And the Cavs
let's talk about this. Let's talk about this. Game 1 of the Knicks series, we did say that. Yeah. I remember saying that after game 1.
Knicks played really good. Cavs played awful.
there were a lot of causes for concern. I would say Jetty Osman being the only playoff player that could play, I think was a cause for concern. And I think the guy he replaced is also was a cause for concern tonight. It's just that the guy he replaced then is not really that big of a deal.
We'll talk Okoro. I think he was okay. I gave him a C+.
I'll
explain why when we get there.
I do not. You may need to be taken. Your grades need to be taken away. Your grade taking privileges. You need to start. You need to start right now. You need to start sending it to a committee. Can we get votes?
The reason why I gave him that is because when he came in the second quarter, things started to shift. And I don't think it's just an Okoro thing. I want to be clear. I don't think it was just him doing this. It's a part of a larger thing that I want to talk about is that I think the Cavs in this specific type of game, moving away from the double big lineup might have been the right move. Now, I don't think you have to go one big the entire series, but I think when the Pacers are shooting at this level, that's when the one big lineup makes more sense. And I thought anytime that they had at least two of Okoro, Wade, and Hunter on the floor, at least two of them, whether it's Wade and Hunter, who were amazing in the second half, but in the second quarter, Okoro came out there, and all of a sudden he was making like a legitimate difference on the defensive end, and he had 2 offensive rebounds during that stretch, and I was like, wow, Okoro's really helpful. Then he went 0 of 2 from the 3-point line, and it's like, if he just hits one of those, everyone's like, wow, really good Okoro game. But he went 0 of 2, and if he goes 0 of 2 again, you have to yank him off the floor. So I'm fully acknowledging that if he goes 0 of 2 again, it's over. But he could legitimately make a difference on defense in this series, and I think he showed it in game 1. That's why I gave him credit, because Cavs couldn't get stops. And Okoro, Wade, and Hunter were like the only 3, and Mobley, the only 3 or 4 who I was like, all right, these guys are actually getting stops right now.
Do you have that out of your system?
That's out of my system. Yeah.
Okay. So I hate to air people's text messages to me because that's just not who I am as a person. But I do need to do this. Christopher Manning, former editor-in-chief of FearTheSword.com, texted me midway through the game and said, I hate to say this, but it's absolutely not a series you can play Isaac Okoro. And I said, Christopher, I'm glad that you opened your eyes. So this is what I will say. I came into this and I thought that Isaac Okoro should start because I liked the idea of using him as a screener. You can use him as a screener. You can put Halliburton in a lot of actions, and then you also have him to guard Halliburton. But the thing is, when you are in those actions and you are setting those screens, you are going to get the ball right away because that's where it's kind of like the Knicks series where every time the Cavs hit an on-ball screen, you say 2 to the ball. That's going to keep happening, and it's not the same way where like the Knicks were trapping. It's more so because they like to show and recover. So when you do, like when Sam Merrill or Max Strus was doing it, they set the screen and they were like sprinting away from where the action was to create that advantage. When Isaac Okoro does that, he kind of like doesn't want the ball. So he's sort of scared to create in those situations, which means that he's kind of relegated back to being a guy that just stands in the corner. And when you're doing that, you're not playing basketball. And when you're not playing basketball in an NBA playoff series, it's going to be hard to play you. I think we saw that with Dean Wade. I really like Dean Wade. I thought that Dean Wade couldn't really do anything when Halliburton was on him. They were able to hide Halliburton because he wasn't willing to go and set the screens. He wasn't willing to like play and make out of that. So what is he doing? Just standing in the corner, standing next to Halliburton, which is exactly what the Pacers want. So I think that from that perspective, if you're not willing to be involved in the offense and the offense isn't willing to involve you in it, then I don't think you have a place on the floor in this series. And unfortunately, that means that Okoro is the odd man out, in my opinion. And I think that your opinion is a little off base. I don't know if anybody else agrees with that, but that's fine.
I'll quickly respond and then let's move on because I know people don't want to hear us talk about Okoro for like 15 minutes.
They might.
I do think first half he had the 2 offensive rebounds. He actually had, he had 2 assists in the game, but I think only 1 in the first half. I'd have to go back. The only one that I remember is there was a sequence where it was like the Cavs for one of the only times in the game the ball's kind of moving around. He attacked a closeout, and it's not like an amazing, oh my God, what a brilliant basketball savant, but it's like he attacks closeout, draws the help defense, drop off pass to Allen floater. So I do think there's situations where he can be helpful in this series, especially defensively.
But that's him coming from the corner. He's not playing. He's not a part of the. Well, no, he's not a part of the game. He's an afterthought. It was a good
that
play. It was a good play,
like
but
he had cut, relocated, got the ball. Like there was some movement. The problem is when he's doing what you're saying, which was what the second half really was. The first half, it didn't feel like that. The second half boiled down to that because, yeah, the dude just he doesn't want to shoot the ball and he's not making shots. And so if it continues, then yeah, like you're not going to see him out on the floor. Same thing with Dean Wade, although I do want to say I thought Dean Wade was a game changer on defense. Like again, and this all comes back to the one big thing where when it was Wade and Hunter out there, that's when the Cavs went on that. They had a 4-minute stretch where Indiana didn't make a field goal. And Dean Wade he's like walling off Siakam. He's holding his own one-on-one against Halliburton. There were plays where they would switch the screens and Mitchell was stuck on, I think, Siakam off ball. And before Indiana could move the ball around and punish that, Wade recognizes it and scram switches with Mitchell to get Wade on Siakam instead. And that was like the attention to detail stuff that I don't know if the Cavs defense just, it didn't seem like they were locked in. It didn't seem like they were communicating. Let's
talk about the Cavs. Let's talk about the Cavs defense. So the Cavs have been talking about pace a lot, and I don't think this was a game where, Indiana just kept beating them up the floor. Like that's kind of what we think of when we think of pace. But Kenny mentioned afterwards that this team wasn't very sharp, and I think that that's where the pace came in. All the players talked about how they weren't ready for the pace, and even though they tried to simulate it, they weren't exactly ready, and they felt they got ready in the second half. And I think where that shows through is when you're tired, you don't make the same decisions that you know you're supposed to make. And I think that a lot of those threes were just like, there's some help inside. Like one play, like Obi Toppin was in the strong side quarter, and like Jarrett Allen's like just keeps creeping in until he's like completely away and like pass out to Obi Toppin, and then he's sprinting back to that side. But it's like, no, you like Obi Toppin's already going up, man. So that's the stuff where I felt that the Cavs just kept like needlessly doing things like that, where it was like, no, the guy you were helping, he had it contained and it was going to be a good like contest at the rim. So I think that's where like the pace really hurt the Cavs, is their attention to detail was not where it needed to be. There was it 2 times where Halliburton was like completely lost, where it was like, there was miscommunication with like a screen or something, like they just throw it to Halliburton and Halliburton just standing there with nobody within 10 feet. Yeah. It's like the things that happen when you're not used to playing at that speed. And I think that's what really hurt them. And that's something that they're going to have to get right, because they did play bad defense and the Pacers hit an unsustainable amount of threes, but the Cavs didn't do anything to keep them from hitting those threes.
Exactly. Yeah, it was a little bit of both, right? It's like, yeah, the Cavs played bad defense and the Pacers punished them for it at like the highest level you can in a basketball game. 2 things on that. One, you mentioned like Allen kind of cheating in and getting burned on over helping. Mobley did the same thing to Allen, where it was like, I think Miles Turner had the ball. Allen's right in front of him. He's in the paint, but like Allen's right in front of him. You kind of trust Jarrett Allen to protect the rim right there, but Mobley inexplicably double teams, and I think he left Nesmith wide open for a 3. And that's where it, again, kind of comes back to, I always talk about with the 2 bigs. I get it. They both played basketball their entire life being rim protectors. It is their natural instinct to kind of cheat into the paint when the ball enters the paint. And when you play them together, that's where you get sometimes where Mobley or Allen are out of position because they're over helping. It wasn't just them. I actually think the backcourt was worse tonight defensively in terms of just miscommunications and over helping. But there's still those moments where the bigs do it. And again, I understand like why they're programmed that way, but that's part of the reason why, yeah, when Indiana's shooting to this degree, maybe you switch to the 1 big lineup. I thought it was really good when it was 1 bigs. The other thing I'll mention in terms of the defense and the pace, because these 2 things go together, Cavs shooting 9 of 38 or whatever it was from 3. That's a lot of run out opportunities for Indiana. I don't think they got crushed in transition, but it's just a lot like basketball is a 2-way sport. This affects your momentum. This affects your ability to defend when Indiana is constantly catching the ball off of misses and getting to push, even in semi-transition. Cavs defense isn't set. Maybe there's mismatches, cross matches on the way back, and there's miscommunications. And like, if you shoot better in a funny way, the defense probably gets a little bit better too. And so this was I would say this was a winnable game for the Cavs. I don't think if the Pacers go on to win this series, I don't think it'll be a repeat of this game. If they do, it's just one of the most insane shooting variance series of all time.
And I do want to say that can happen, where like we saw 2009 The Cavs ran into a Magic team that shot an unsustainable amount. So like, it's not like it's impossible to have happen, but it would be odd for that to happen because just so many things had to go their way. Like you look at the things like they had to have very A+ level games from every role player. Like let's take a look at this. Aaron Neesmith, 17 points, 4 or 6 from 3. Miles Turner, 13 points, 12 rebounds. Andrew Nembhard, 5 or 6 from 3, 23 points. Benedict Mathurin, 11 points, 3 or 5 from 3, but he was also allowed to foul everybody anytime he wanted to play any defense. So like you look at
Hunter was crazy.
Wild. So anyway, you just look at like you had the 3-point shooting, but you also had role players playing above their level, and then you combine that with the Cavs shooting, one of their worst percentages of the season. Donovan Mitchell going 1 for 11 from 3. Like there's a lot of factors in here that don't seem repeatable, and this was a game that the Cavs had a brief lead with about like 6 minutes left, and there was no Darius Garland. So it's like I think the talent level that the Cavs have all season showed through. It just showed through in a way that is not really like, not a cool way because they still lost this game. And honestly, that's all that matters. But I don't have the numbers in front of me. But the Cavs obliterated the Pacers in the paint and in the restricted area. They were able to get to their, on NBA.com has those numbers. But like if you go to the shot zones, but
it was 70 to 38 in the paint. The Cavs had 70 points in the paint to just 38 from Indiana. Again, the Pacers outscored us by 30 from the 3-point line.
Right, and if you combine that with the Cavs hitting, because usually when you're able to get into the paint, you're able to generate better threes, and they generated good threes. So it's like if you hit a couple more threes, you win this game really easily. So like as much as we talk about how bad the Cavs offense was and how bad the decision making was, it's like they were getting to their spots, and the Pacers defense is really, it's predicated on, I think they have like the 5th best field goal percentage in the restricted area, but they allow teams to take a lot of shots there, and they try to run teams off the 3-point line. So like they try to protect the paint, and they couldn't protect the paint against the Cavs. They didn't have an answer for when Allen was going downhill. They didn't have an answer when Mitchell was going downhill 12 and 19 inside the arc. They didn't, they didn't really have a great answer for Ty Jerome, even though you didn't like any of his floaters. Like he still hit a lot of them.
Well, the floaters were in the paint though. They were like, it was like you could tell everyone knew he was going up the floater because
we don't want to get sidetracked.
I know, but just they were like
that's Ty Jerome's game. That's Ty Jerome's game. That's literally what he does.
Let me be
doesn't sound like it.
I think he's gonna bounce back. I just thought this was a bad game from him, and part of it is that they were relying on him more than you would like. But I thought it was a bad game. Anyways, to what you were saying, though,
team high +10. Ty Jerome.
Don't do this to me. This is what George Niang apologists told me for years. In fact, I was one of them, so I know I escaped the cult. All right, but no, listen.
Yeah, his plus-minus was bad.
No, sometimes George. I feel like Niang was always like you'd watch like the worst game.
Only when he would play with Ty. Only when he played with Ty Jerome.
Okay. Well, anyways, there was a point that I wanted to get to. I wanted to talk about so the 3-point variance. You don't expect that to repeat. One thing that is encouraging, and we kind of expected the Cavs to be able to at least break even in this regard, they won the possession battle. They tied the Pacers in rebounding. They crushed them on the offensive glass 13-7. It didn't necessarily feel like they were crushing them, but they got a lot of offensive rebounds. And they forced Indiana to 16 turnovers to just 7 turnovers from the Cavs. They took care of business in the possession battle. It's just, listen, you shoot 23%. That's in a way kind of losing the possession battle because none of these possessions even mattered, but you did hold your own on the defensive or on the glass, and you did win the turnover battle. So that's something that, oh wait, did I count this? No. Sorry. I thought, no, I was right. Seven turnovers for the Cavs.
The Cavs also won the second chance points battle 21-4, which that's a huge margin of victory. That's New York Knicks versus Cleveland Cavaliers 2023-esque. If you win that going forward like that, you're going to be in good shape in this series. You're probably not going to win it that handedly. So you would expect that to regress a little bit. But that's a huge advantage that the Cavs have, and I think that they can press that advantage even more.
Yeah. All right. So I want to talk about Evan Mobley, and then maybe a little DeAndre Hunter, maybe quick on Jarrett Allen, and then we'll talk I wrote down some game 2 adjustments, and then we can wrap this up. But I want to shout out Evan Mobley because we haven't really talked about him. I actually legitimately thought Mobley was awesome. He was minus 20. Plus minus can be a little wonky. But he had 20 points, 9 of 13.
Only when it's against your agenda, that's when it's wonky. But that's fine.
Hey, you know what?
Your agenda, it's fine.
I was conceding that even the minus 20 for Mobley is, well, I guess whatever. The point is, Mobley was good today. I thought he was genuinely really good. 20 points, 10 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 steals. He did turn it over 4 times. That's not good, but confidently taking 3-pointers, made 2 out of the 5. One of them was honestly like a desperation one too. So really it was like 2 for 4. Obviously we said did good job on glass. I thought that Indiana really had no answer for him in the paint. So I wish he would have attempted more shots. Same thing with Jarrett Allen, 12 points, 6 of 7 shooting. To me, this kind of felt like a case of the Cavs just not really being able to feed him the ball that much. Maybe he wasn't being aggressive. But I do want to see moving forward if they can feed the bigs a little bit more, because I think they have a clear advantage over this front court. And I think that you can get them even more involved. And 20 points from Mobley is really good. But I think you, like, again, this is where you miss Darius Garland to a degree, right? Like someone to set him up for even more easy opportunities.
This is I think it was a really good Evan Mobley game. The Pacers, because they bring 2 to the ball to kind of show and recover, it allows the bigs to have some space. And I thought, you think of Evan Mobley in space in the playoffs, you think of that New York Knicks series where he really struggled in space. I thought he was phenomenal tonight. When he caught the ball, like when he had a 3-point look, he didn't shy away from it. He stepped into it confidently and he knocked him down. He was 2 for 5. And he had one huge one to give the Cavs. It was like a 4-point disadvantage at the beginning of the fourth quarter. It's kind of a deeper one. The Cavs needed to regain momentum, and he just calmly swishes it. And like the next possession down, he beats a mismatch. So it's like, I thought he had like superstar moments in this game where like he was doing the things that you wanted him to do. I think that he wasn't able to sustain them like you would like him to. And that kind of comes down to Donovan Mitchell's not somebody going to be consistently able to set up, Evan Mobley on every possession. And I thought the Cavs were still, like we said, they were generating good offense. But yeah, this was a good Evan Mobley game. Jarrett Allen, as you said, he needs Darius Garland. He needs somebody to really that when you're try to bring 2 to the ball, that really opens up that lob. We did see Donovan actually throw a lob in transition to Jarrett Allen, which was surprising stuff. But that's where you miss Darius most. And Ty Jerome can kind of run nose, but that's just not. His game's a little bit different. So,
yeah,
good point to bring up Darius there.
Yeah, I think the playmaking, like, again, the Cavs generated more than enough clean looks to win this game if they had shot better. But I think there was even more on the table there, which could be encouraging if Darius Garland comes back and, you're looking for ways to get back in this series. But the other point that I want to make is that I thought DeAndre Hunter was pretty dang good in this game. I thought he was good defensively. I thought he had some good defensive rebounds. Sorry, Apollo scratch. You guys can probably hear it, but he's about to lay down. He'll be good in a second. But DeAndre Hunter started off the game with like one of those in-your-face pull-up 3-pointers. And then he only attempted one more the rest of the way. And I don't know, he got clobbered on a foul that wasn't
Multiple
a foul,
times.
apparently. Looked like he maybe hurt his hand and his shoulder.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that's why he wasn't taking any more. But it also could be just the lack of playmaking, the lack of distributing the ball. Not that DeAndre Hunter is a guy who needs someone to kick it out to him on a catch and shoot. He's more than willing to pull up over someone himself. But I thought he was good, 11 points, 4 of 8 shooting, but only 2 3-point attempts. And he might have been the only guy who had it going from 3. Like, we don't know because he didn't attempt another one. But that first shot looked pure. I can't say that for basically anyone else on the team except for maybe Mobley, but like he's not going to lead you in the 3-point shooting department. I think this is a game where getting DeAndre Hunter some more shot attempts would have been good.
Yeah, I definitely agree with what you're saying. I thought that he showed a lot of like it was good to see him continually go downhill even though he was getting hacked, and I think that was an encouraging thing. Kenny Atkinson, this is probably a good time to bring this up. Kenny Atkinson did mention that a couple of guys were banged up. It seems like DeAndre Hunter's finger could be a cause for concern, but it seems like he's going to be okay. It's just kind of one of those playoff things. Evan Mobley also, the little concern, he was hobbling a little bit with his ankle. He seemed fine in the post-game press conference and then said that, like, basically we'll see how it is tomorrow morning and that it's the playoffs. then Donovan also had some kind of a weird thing. I think he went like knee on knee with like Tyrese Halliburton at one point. So there are some little concerns like that. Like, is that something that's going to severely handicap what guys are able to do? It seemed like Mitchell still was able to get downhill. He had 3 dunks this game, which is usually, that's a good amount. So you would hope he's okay. You would hope Hunter's okay. Like, obviously you need Mobley. So, fingers crossed that that's okay. But I think that when we look to like playoff adjustments and what we think of the series going forward, I think if the Cavs are healthy, you're not too concerned about this. Even if Garland's not healthy, if the Cavs that we saw today are healthy, I think you're fine. If Hunter is out, if Mobley is out, if Donovan Mitchell's 80% of him, if he's like 20% less effective, you know what I mean? Like these are the things that I think could derail the series. But if provided people are mostly okay, and I know no one's truly healthy in the playoffs, but if people are mostly okay, I think that if you came with the same game plan and you just were 10% a little more ready for the pace now that you've seen it, I think you're fine.
Yeah. Yeah. So on that note, I want to go ahead and look ahead to game 2 real quick, because I will say this. I agree with you completely. I still think the Cavs win this series. I still feel mostly comfortable. That said, like game 2, it's a must win. You have to win game 2 on your home floor. You can't go down 0-2. I know technically, sure, maybe you could come back. I think Denver did it last year. I think against Minnesota. Or no, Minnesota, I think, did it. They lost both at home, but that was different case. They were up 2-0, then they went 0-2. Regardless, the point is, you can't lose game 2 on your home floor if you're the Cavs. So game 2 is an absolute must win. Because of that, I'm saying my concern level right now is like a 6 out of 10, just because like they need to win that game 2. And if they win that game 2, then my concern level goes way back down and I feel more comfortable. But like game 2 is going to be huge. And so as you said, yeah, maybe just playing like 10% better is all you need. But I did write some adjustments real quick, and I want to get your reaction to them. Number 1, these aren't in order, but just this is the order that I wrote them in. Number 1, Darius Garland, please be healthy. Please be available to play and look like yourself, at least somewhat, right? Like that's the number 1 hope for me is Darius Garland.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good adjustment, obviously.
Number 2, don't shoot 23% from deep. Please don't do that.
That's a good adjustment.
Shoot closer to 40%, and I feel good. All right, number 3 is a little bit more of an actual take.
I'll give you 32%. I'd sign the dotted line on that. Yeah.
So would I. Shoot. The third one's a little bit more of an actual take. Better defensive rotations and closeouts. There was miscommunication. The closeouts, even like some of the closeouts that they made were just late, right? Like, got to close out stronger. There was one at the start of the game where TJ McConnell had an open corner 3, and I know he's not like a flamethrower shooter, but he kind of like hesitated, and Max Strus like deliberately dared him to and said, "I'm not even going to close out on you," and he buried it. And it's like, I get that you're comfortable with McConnell taking the corner 3, but also it's the playoffs, and McConnell's not that bad to where you can just like take. There was a 3-second pause where Max Strus deliberately said, "I'm not closing out on him." Max, I need you to close out. It's the playoffs. They're hitting everything. I need you to close out. So that's the third adjustment. 4 and 5 are pretty similar. I think there's going to be times in the series where you need more Wade Hunter lineups. Wade at the 3, Hunter at the 4, Mobley or Allen at the 5. Again, I don't think this is a situation where you can't play the 2 bigs. I think there's going to be games where you could, but I think it's actually better for both individuals. This isn't even just like an anti-Allen agenda. Allen as the 5 and Wade or Hunter next to him could be helpful too. Like playing one big at a time, I think actually helps them in certain cases.
What I will say on this, I think that it's a lot easier to play the 2 bigs when you have Darius Garland as opposed to when you have just Donovan Mitchell, because Donovan Mitchell is not somebody who naturally gets his players involved. He's always at his best when the floor is as spaced as possible, and the reads are like super simple, like help coming from the weak side. Boom, I'm going to spray it out there. Help coming from here, like when he's making this easy reads. When you have 2 guys there, when you have 2 bigs, and I know Mobley can space the floor, but like when you have those 2, it makes things a little more complicated. You need more of a higher level point guard than Donovan Mitchell. So I think that's where I co-sign your take here, that you would need more minutes with groups like that if you're just playing with Donovan Mitchell as your only point guard.
This next one brings me no pleasure to say, but depending on how the next game goes, you might need even less Sam Merrill. Maybe less Sam Merrill. It kind of depends, but if there's no Darius Garland, they really struggled without a ball handler out there. And I know Ty Jerome wasn't making great decisions either, but it felt like we weren't getting anything out of Sam. And the Pacers had a lot of success targeting him defensively in a way that Miami just wasn't able to. Now, maybe next game, Merrill is holding his own on defense and he's hitting three. He was 2 of 5 today, so he didn't shoot poorly, but it just didn't feel like the offense was getting anything out of it. And so maybe that changes in the next game. But if it continues to go this way, you might get less Sam, and this might be more of a – I know I said Ty Jerome played bad, but like you might need to rely on Ty, or hopefully Darius is back, or maybe you go big with Hunter and Wade, like I said, and more Strus minutes. It's just Strus wasn't great either today. But Sam, I didn't think it was that good. Moving forward, like you said, maybe change the starting lineup even. I don't know who that would be. Probably not Okoro at this point, but maybe it's a what's it called? Oversized lineup instead.
I would like that. Yeah, I kind of agree with that. I don't think Sam was a problem for the most part. I thought that he did a good job with creating space for other people with his screen setting. I thought he was one of the better screeners, especially for a guard. So I do like that. I know Max Strus can do a lot of that too, but Max Strus wasn't hitting shots and frankly isn't as good of a shooter as Sam. So from that perspective, like I agree with what you're saying. I just, I don't think that's a huge deal because he only played 17. He played 18 minutes today. Like Wade played 16 and Okoro played 15. That doesn't seem too inappropriate. I would take minutes from Isaac, but that's we've talked about that.
I'm willing to give. This isn't me saying Sam can't play tomorrow or Tuesday. I'm keeping an eye on it. Is basically my point there.
All right. Can I ask you some questions?
Sure.
So, what I think is more interesting is because basically we went through a lot of adjustments. The adjustments is basically like, guys, hit your threes. You guys were generating open threes. Guys, make your rotations. These are not groundbreaking things. If you were the Indiana Pacers and you had a game like this where you shot unsustainably high from three, they shot really bad, etc., what adjustments do you make? Like, do you feel that you need to make adjustments? Because I think that's a more interesting conversation as opposed to what the Cavs should do, because I think what the Cavs should do is kind of obvious, like just hit shots.
Yeah. First thing that comes to mind from the Indiana perspective is you got to take better care of the ball. 16 turnovers. You conceded 22 points off of turnovers, so that was like if you're looking for you shot unsustainable and it was still a close game. Where did the Cavs make that up? It was scoring a bunch of points in the paint and turning you over and getting out in transition to really flip the script on you almost in a way. And so again, you get
but the problem.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say the problem with that is that more pace and playing at their speed where they're throwing the ball, like they're making the passes all the time. Mm-hmm. When you're doing that, you're more susceptible to turnovers. Like the Cavs played kind of an isolation-ish game where they were not moving the ball, but that's why they didn't turn it over. Like that's kind of one of the benefits of that style. So like you would like to execute better from that perspective, but like that's sort of who they are. Like you can't inherently take that away.
Well, they I don't know what like they would have ranked this game. I haven't looked at cleaning the glass or if it's even up, but I know they were top 5 in turnover percentage. They do take really good care of the ball. I just pulled up NBA.com to find something, and this is counting today's game, but they're averaging 12 turnovers a game in the playoffs. So 16 is still too high. Like that's the first area that I would look is like you got to get that down because they turned it over a lot. Right. A lot of like offensive fouls on moving screens too, which was I think accounted for 3 of them in the first half, which there's no adjustment for that. Just don't do that. You want to try and stop the Cavs from scoring in the paint because obviously they were just killing you there. But in all honesty, if you're Indiana, you shouldn't be happy with the way you defended the 3-point line either. You should also be saying the same things that Cavs fans are saying, which is rotations got to be better, got to close out better because, you're looking at it. You shot really well from 3. You're also probably feeling like you dodged a little bit of a bullet in terms of how bad the Cavs shot the ball. And the other thing defensively, I'm almost at the point where it's like if Darius Garland's not playing, when do we start talking about trapping Donovan Mitchell a little bit more? Because I don't think they trapped him at all. You almost might say, hey, none of these other guys are doing anything. Do we just take the ball out of Mitchell's hands? Because I don't agree with what I was about to say. I was going to say he's the only reason they got back in the game, but he was the catalyst offensively.
I think this is a good take where if you don't have Darius out there, you have few ball handlers, especially with that starting lineup. You're already bringing 2 to the ball anyway, so you're kind of in this weird rotation. Why not fully commit to that rotation? So yeah, I would do that. See if you could get like force some more turnovers. Force like, hey, if Sam Merrill's going to create for himself, if Max Strus is going to create for himself, if Evan Mobley's consistently going to do what he did today, but do it at a higher volume, like yeah, I agree with that. I think that's actually that would be a good adjustment.
Last thing that I can think of, and then if you have any, feel free to share it. Last thing that I can think of is something that they started to do in the fourth quarter. They just relentlessly put Jarrett Allen on an island, and I thought he did his best. Like, I don't even think that he got torched one-on-one. Halliburton hit the tough three, but other than that, I thought Allen did a decent job. But if you're just going to pick on Jarrett Allen like that and force the Cavs to take one of the bigs off the floor, like I was advocating for, then I think that's Indiana forcing an adjustment. They probably feel good that they're dictating the terms of engagement. I don't think they targeted either of the bigs in mismatches throughout most of the first 3 quarters. Fourth quarter was like every possession down, we're forcing the switch and going at you one-on-one. So I wonder if we see more of a concentrated effort for that, or if it's something that they just keep for key moments of the game. That's something I'll be watching for.
So like one of the reasons why I wanted that, they're turning the lights out on me. One of the reasons why I wanted to ask that was because I don't think the Pacers have a whole lot of adjustments, and I think they just kind of, I don't want to say they got lucky because they definitely earned it. So I would say the variance went their way. Like if they shoot 50% from free, which they did, but the Cavs shoot, but if the Cavs have a 34% shooting from three, which is bad but great, like they win this game. So like that's where I think that they had to have so many things go their way to win this game that I'm not overly worried that the Cavs are going to lose this series. I'm not even worried that the series is going to go 7. I think this could easily go 5. Like I think that when you look, like a lot of people, like I said Cavs in 4, which I think was a good take. Because I think we saw why, like they were able to create so many good threes and they were still able to score at the basket, which is what Indiana's defense doesn't want them to do. So like if you generate any good threes and you're scoring at the basket, you're going to win that battle most of the time. And if you don't win that battle 4 out of 7 times, then you don't deserve to win because you were not the better team that series. So like the Cavs have been the better team all year. There's nothing that from tonight that would make me think that they can't be. But if you have another game like this on Tuesday, then that changes everything because then you have no margin for error. So I think people budgeted in the 3-point variance game, and one of the reasons why people like playing at home is because usually your shooters shoot better out. Your like role players shoot better at home. Role players shoot worse on the road. Indiana's role players can't shoot any better. You know, like what better are they going to do? Careful. You know, like I mean,
Thomas Bryant missed the corner 3, and I was about to lose my mind if that went in. So don't.
I would have lost my mind.
Don't wish this type of evil on.
But you see what I'm saying? Like Naismith went 4 or 6 from 3. Like at home, if you went 4 or 6 from 3, you're like, okay, that kind of makes sense. But like here, it's like you don't expect that. Plus Nembhard, plus Mathurin, plus everybody else. So that's where I say like. I think it's okay to calm. Like I think it's okay to be calm. I think that the Cavs are going to be okay. It's just depending on health. If they're healthy, they'll be fine. If Mobley is not himself, if Hunter's not himself, if Mitchell's not himself, and it seems like after the game, everybody was more okay than what the initial thought was. So I think that the Cavs are fine. Are you? Yeah. What's your concern level going forward?
So again, it's kind of, I gotta compartmentalize it. It's like a 6 right now, just because of how important Game 2 is. Like it's so vital that they win Game 2. Once they win that, it's gonna lower back down to like a 3 maybe. And I think I'll put it this way, going off of what you said. And I said this at the start of the series, and I still stand by it. I think it's completely true still. If the Cavs play their best basketball, even the best version of the Cavs without Darius Garland. And I'm not even considering like the Miami version. I'm just saying like best regular season version of the Cavs, no Darius Garland. I think they're capable of beating the Pacers 4 out of 7 times. I think they even showed that today because this was, again, I don't want to.
Their D+ game. Their D+ game.
This was a bad Cavs game. And as you said, basically about as good as the Pacers can play. almost to the point where the shooting is unsustainable. Now, the playoffs are weird. Maybe it's sustainable. Maybe it happens. But point that I'm making is, even with how good the Pacers played, the Cavs were in this game. And if they had played a good game or even a great game, they probably win it. And so I still maintain this feeling where I'm confident and comfortable because I know if the Cavs play their best basketball, they should win every game. And I think the Pacers already played as good as they can. And maybe they keep it up. And even if they do keep it up, I think the Cavs' best version can eclipse that. The problem is they can't go shooting 23% again, or you're going to lose again.
Yeah, and that's, I think, if the Cavs were shooting consistently 23% against the Miami Heat, they would have lost some games. You can't beat anybody shooting 23% from three consistently. And I think that's kind of, variance in a 4-game, 5-game, 6-game sample size can be really wide just because of the small set. So the Pacers could have just a really hot shooting week, but the Cavs' best is considerably better than the Pacers' best. The Cavs' B game, I think, is better than the Pacers' A+ game. It's just the Cavs' D+ game, C- game, C game is not better than the Pacers' A game. And I think that's kind of how I'm looking at it, where you just got to play better. And if you don't play better, you don't deserve to win the series. That's kind of how sports work.
Yeah,
so,
that's kind of how I feel, right? And it's I guess last thing here, I'll just say where the concern for me right now comes from is that in very small sample sizes, variance can bite you. And so if you shoot 25% on Tuesday and you go down 0-2, now even if you're perfect the rest of the way, it's going to be tough, right? Going down 0-2, losing your first two at home is really, really difficult. So that's why I'm kind of, like I said, separating it. I need to see game 2. I need to see that. And I think they win game 2. I think they probably win. I picked Cavs in 5. I'm gonna pivot. I pivoted to Cavs in 6 just because I think beating them 4 times in a row could be tough. But the path forward, I deserve it. Let me hear it. The path forward is you win game 2 at home. At the very worst, you split the road trip in Indiana, and then you close them out in the next 2 games. So that's my hope. That's what I'm planning for. I still feel good about the Cavs overall. If anyone's pissed off about this game, I get it. The Cavs blew this one. They played awful. It's 100% on them for losing this game. If they did that 3 more times, then you could continue to be pissed off. But I think they've shown throughout the season enough for us to believe that they're not going to do it 3 more times.
This was just a classic LeBron feel-out game.
Exactly. Game 1s are weird. It's just, weird things happen. We're going to look back and be like, man, remember when I can't pick Nembhard because Nembhard just legitimately does this in the playoffs for whatever reason. But we're going to look back and be like, man, remember when Mathurin and Nesmith went 7 for 11 from 3 in game 1 and we were all worried? That's what I'm hoping we look back on and say, because they're both capable shooters, mainly Nesmith more than Mathurin, but there's no way they keep it up, right? There's no way. If they keep it up, even if they keep it up, I think the Cavs can match the firepower from them.
Yeah.
But the idea or the likelihood that both things hold up, that the Cavs continue to shoot this poorly and the Pacers continue to shoot this amazing, feels unlikely to me, and that's why I'm still confident. For any Pacers fans who are watching and they feel like I'm disrespecting you, I'm not.
Which there have been Pacer fans in the comments. So the Pacer fans in the comments, enjoy this because you don't know when it's going to happen again.
God, Jackson's egging them on. I'm trying to be the peacemaker. It's a combination of respect for my team and just being realistic for both teams, right? I don't think both of these things are going to happen 3 more times at the same time.
You look at how unlikely it is for the Cavs. The Cavs have played 87 games. I can't count.
This was their
87th game.
This was their 87th game, yeah.
Right, so they played 87 games. This was their 86th worst shooting game. This was their 87th worst shooting game. You know what I mean? And if they had their 81st worst shooting game, they win tonight. That's what I'm saying. And there was nothing that the Pacers did that made it so they couldn't generate or hit their threes. They just missed because that's what kind of what 3-point shooting is. So if the Pacers win this series because they forced the 87th worst shooting game, the 84th worst shooting game, the 85th worst shooting, okay, then what do you want me to say? That's not within the realm of realistic outcomes. What's more in the realm of realistic outcomes is they shoot their 41st best game, their 32nd, their 63rd. That's more likely. So that's where I'm saying I said Cavs in 5, I mean, in 4. I still say Cavs in 4. Like, we'll get through the end of game 4, and then we'll decide if we have to play the 5th game or not. So that's how I like. Obviously, I'm joking a little bit, but I'm just trying to underline how unlikely it was for this game to happen.
Yeah, I think it's completely fair, and I think if any Pacers fans take that as disrespect, I'll at least speak for myself. I don't disrespect the Pacers as a team. I think they're a good team. I just think the Cavs are better, and we have every reason to believe they are. And if you stun us and you shoot 55% from 3 and you hold us to 20%, then I'll say, damn it, you beat me. But I don't expect that to happen.
Listen, I went on a New York radio show and said Cavs in 5. I have no shame. You can't do anything worse to us than has already happened by Knicks fans.
True. It's actually true. And
I think that is true. So, what's the point?
Probably more respectable than Knicks fans. But to that point, though, last thing, and then we can wrap. What happened in Game 1 of New York was actually completely sustainable. You can beat people up on the glass for 4 out of 7 games. That's something you can repeat.
And they did.
Shooting 50% and holding your opponent to 20% isn't even something that you can really control, right? Like, that is just actually out of your control to a degree, right? To that extreme level of variance. Beating someone up on the glass, you can.
And especially when the Cavs are like the best shooting team in the entire league. That's why they won 65, 64, whatever games.
And as far as I can tell, don't fact check this. I know some people may disagree on my definitions here, but I don't think we've had 2 back-to-back bad Ty Jerome games ever. So he's going to be good next game.
This one wasn't a good one. This one wasn't a bad one.
On my definition, but I don't think we've had 2 bad games in a row from Ty Jerome. So I think we're due for a typhoon.
We are due for a typhoon. So.
Anyways, that's going to do it for this episode.
Head to fearthesword.com.
Head to fearthesword.com. We got grades that are probably going to be controversial. We got winners and losers. We got the recap. We got everything going on over there. So make sure you're checking it out. Takeaways. Make sure that you're following fearthesword.tv. Wait, playback.tv. That's the one. Sir. Follow that. The link's in the description. We're going to be watching Cavs playoff games, all playoffs. Hopefully we get plenty more of them. So make sure you're following that. Make sure you're subscribed on YouTube. Become a member on Patreon if you really want to help out the show. Thank you guys so much for watching. And with all that being said, go Cavs.
I agree. Go Cavs.